Hey.
Why don't you take us through the Kickoo tribe?
Absolutely. So Kickoo starts with fishing technology. So Kickoo is a tier 0 tribe, meaning that you can level up your city on the first turn. Now, this can actually make a big difference when you're actually playing against a tribe that doesn't have the tier 0 upgrade for the capital. But a lot of this really comes down to who can expand the fastest, right? So it's fish economy, it's early naval access, and obviously when we're playing on lakes and especially small, that really does create a compressed game where, quite frankly, early city discovery, first water movement, ports, and tempo swings really can decide the match quite quickly. But as the lore, of course, states here, it's a tribe of natural-born sailors, right? So you really want to utilize the fishing bonus that you start with. And of course, just like any other tribe out there, they're not a fan of the Vengir.
Naturally.
I think that's actually quite, for most tribes, they just don't like Vengir.
We have our first confirmed semi-final. That is going to be the first one, which is MythicRNG versus Big Dictator. Bossman. Well, we're getting right into it. I think we're starting.
Yeah.
So opening moves, why don't you take us through it? Looking at MythicRNG's start here, what are you looking at? What are you thinking about? What's your immediate reaction?
So the first thing here is, does he do the tier 0 opener or does he go for a second warrior? That is going to be the number one thing. So he goes for the tier 0 opener here, and he's most likely going to move towards the center of the map here. When it comes to opening, okay, he moved to the left. That's very interesting. So he also went for the tier 0 opener here. So do you want to explain quickly
what the tier 0 opener is?
Absolutely. The tier 0 opener is essentially leveling up your capital on the first turn, right? Some tribes don't have that option. For example, if you go with Vengir, you can't upgrade your village on your capital on the first turn, meaning that you're going to have a little bit of an economy delay. Now, economy is such an important aspect in Polytopia. So, but yes, we see that he gets the second village here.
And what happens if you get a village?
Now, obviously villages, this is a great village as well here. So he has a village with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish. That is a great village. The faster that you can capture villages, the better you are when it comes to expansion. And there is a saying in Polytopia: whoever controls the ocean controls the game.
I think that's a saying in life as well, to be honest, my friend. I think it's quite a good representation.
Perhaps.
We see a city here.
Yeah, so there we go. And he goes for the explorer.
So do you want to explain what happens upon that, upon getting a reward? Why is he like unveiling the map? What has just happened?
Yeah, so what happens when you're playing, when you go for an explorer, obviously you get vision. This was a great explorer because not only did he find his opponent, he also discovered the Southern Lighthouse, which obviously gives you an extra population for your village. So if you're a new player, what happens here is you want to level up your city as fast as possible. And we're going to also dive into tech choices later on as well. We'll do a deep dive here, but that vision that he has is a huge advantage for I'm just going to call him Bossman. I think that's easier.
That's a good idea, yeah. Bossman.
I keep
rolls off the tongue a little bit easier, yeah.
Bossman,
Do you want to explain what domination is? Because some people might be who've just tuned in and go, hang on, they're starting on opposite ends of the map. Okay, I understand that conceptually, but how do you win?
So in domination, the goal here is, of course, to just simply eradicate your opponent, to capture their capital, and it's as simple as that. So when you're playing against an opponent like this, the goal is just to end up in a winning position where you are completely overwhelming your opponent. And the other game mode is, of course, perfection, which is also what the weekly challenges are based around. And the goal here is just to maximize your score. So the playing styles are actually quite different.
I'll take a second to just acknowledge that also, if you look at what we're seeing on the screen, obviously we have the match score at the top, the comparative points, which give a mild representation of how far each player has gotten. At the bottom, we can see obviously the usernames of our players, how many units have been slain, how many units they currently possess, how many cities they have, their current star income, and as it's a turn-based game, how long they have left on their turn timer. Talk me through the income, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so right now, obviously, Bossman is leading a little bit with the income. He's also on that village, and what's interesting is he can actually capture that. But income is a very important aspect of the Polytopia game, because whoever controls or has more income will, most of the time, have an advantage. Mm-hmm. Now, this is not always the case, so a player might actually focus on very aggressive expansion and just explore, gain those villages. Whereas another player might focus on economy, but economy does really set up the mid game, right?
Right.
Because you have more economy, more stars, which is your income, to buy troops, to buy technology, to get upgrades, to gain giants, right? Which gives you that advantage in this game. But Bossman currently has 3 cities, and he got a population growth. So this is another interesting aspect.
Each time a city grows, you get a reward for it.
Yes, absolutely. So the first upgrade is typically, is always an explorer or an additional star for your capital. The second upgrade is going to be stars, so you get an additional 5 stars, or you get a little bit of a defense bonus. So this is mostly not that often used, except for when it's a very critical city that you have to defend. So I would not be surprised if Bossman, who is most likely about to capture this village here, is going to go for a fort on his tier 2 upgrade, should he get to that.
So we've got 3 cities to 2. I mean, just from the layman's eyes, I think that Bossman is in a better position. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He is in a better position. He's got a little bit more on the economy here. He's got good water access. And he's getting control now of the entire northeast of the map. And he's looking like he's expanding onto the northwest side as well.
Comparatively little vision on this side of things.
Yes. This is a challenging spot for MythicRNG here. He did get a swordsman, which is sometimes it's good, sometimes it can be, not as useful. But Bossman has a great defense here, so this is looking like it's a tough spot for MythicRNG here. Not gonna lie.
Well, what would you do in his position? What's he hoping for?
So the thing here is he needs to push. He's probably going to go for a giant here. He can most likely get this next turn. So, again, he is down on cities. What he needs to do here is to gain control of that middle city, which is why I was a little bit surprised when I mentioned earlier that he didn't go towards the center of the map. So if we think back, the first turn he actually went more towards the northeast, as opposed to the middle. And he goes for a second explorer here. It's going to be interesting. Getting the lighthouse, that is fantastic. And for new players as well, one thing, when you discover all 4 lighthouses, you get something called a monument. Now, monument, he got it. Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
So he did get the monument, which means he can now place that monument, which is going to take up 1 spot, 1 tile within one of his villages, to gain 3 population growth. There you go. You popped it, he gets his first giant. You get your giant, you get to level 5, you get a second monument, which is what just happened here.
4 cities to 2, it does feel like the pendulum of power is shifting in Bossman's direction. You got to think Mythic's hoping for something big here. I mean, there was some initial little bits of combat here and there, but it does look like Mythic has pulled back forces since then. It'll be a tough one to get out of.
You can also take a look at the points here, Leif. I mean, you...
Sorry, I hadn't seen that. It's my entire job to be a caster. I didn't look up and see that. Yeah, sorry about that. Fair enough.
he has more than double the points.
Yes.
So Mythic is gonna get his third village here, and he gets a population, which is great. He gets his giant, which he's really gonna need here. But again, Bossman does have more cities. He does have more units, so he most likely will be able to defend that.
And also doesn't have access to the sea on this end of things, does Mythic, which you were saying is quite important.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Mythic went to the northeast. He really, in my opinion, the correct play would have been to gone center. He would have most likely had that center village right now, and he would have been in a little bit of better position. However, taking a look at the map now, Bossman does have more water access. So the question then is, typically when you move into the mid game, who controls the lake, right? Who gets the better port value? So this is going to be a interesting thing. What I'm very curious about here is, will Mythic have a comeback? That's the question.
I mean, that's going to be the question on his mind as well, I imagine, at this sort of stage in the game. Am I correct in saying that those are a lot of villages in the northwest, or the western corner, I should say, that it looks like Bossman has access to? Do you want to explain how you actually get a city? Again, those of you who are veterans, we're trying to appeal to you. Also appealing to the casual viewers at home. Maybe you've never seen Polytopia before. If so, kind of weird you clicked on the stream, but we're happy to have you here. How do you get a new city? What do the villages mean?
So villages essentially mean that you get access to more economy and more unit generation. When you capture a village, the process is simple. You simply have to place one of your existing units onto that village. And once you placed your unit onto that village, the next turn, when it's your turn, again, you pass, and then the next turn, you're able to capture that village. And once you capture the village, well, it gives you access to roads. You can connect that village, which is a technology. We'll get back to that, guys. But it essentially gives you the option to level up your city, more stars, more income, and more units to bash your opponent.
Excellent. And, well, as we can see here, Mythic does not know where those villages are at the moment. So perhaps it's a tricky spot. I mean, has moved the giant up to sort of attempt a little bit of a blockade or a stop on that. What looks to be a significant force massing. We've got 12 units to 6 in favor of Bossman.
And take a look at the income now as well. So Mythic has an additional star above Bossman. You see, Bossman has prioritized very aggressive expansion here. And for the newer players as well. So one thing that you'll notice is that they will most often buy technology. Now, technology is used to gain access to upgrades, to better units, and the more villages you have, the more expensive the technology is. So Bossman now has 4 cities. He's about to capture another, and the turn after another, which means that his technology is going to be a lot more expensive than Mythic, but they're both at the same income level. So the interesting thing here, which we also saw earlier, is Mythic, he also did a border growth, which is one of the other upgrades that you can do. Going back to your previous question, like what happens when you upgrade your cities? He just did a border growth, which gave him access to the lake. And he is definitely going to need that. So the question now is, does he get access before Bossman? Because Bossman hasn't really focused on any water technologies from what I've seen. He did, however, move...
Yeah, I was about to say, he did move a giant into the water there.
He did, yes, he did move a giant onto the water, which is I
was going to say, as if he'd heard you, but for the viewers at home, you are watching on a 10-minute delay. This is put into place to make sure that players cannot get an advantage by straight up cheating. In the grand finals, we, of course, have them sitting next to each other and have AirPods or earphones or headphones on to make sure that they have noise cancelling so they can't make any sort of... how do I put this polite? Well, I won't put it politely. So they can't cheat. Simple as that, really.
Simple as that. They can't cheat. So he just got a second giant here. And he's focused on Sawmill, which is a good choice here given his position. He's slowly catching up to points here, but again, those villages give him the additional points. But Mythic has a good defense here. So when you get the sawmills, that technology, you also gain access to a special unit called the catapult. Now the catapult is a very squishy, means that it can be killed very easily, but it's a catapult that you fire from a long distance and it deals a lot of damage. And he's going to need that from his position, especially if he wants to capture that center village. And it's a very narrow spot too, so the ability for riders is not the best, really.
Right.
He's set himself up for good defense here. The question is he able to push the northwest here? Kickoo just got that. If he loses that, it's going to look very difficult for Mythic to get back into this.
Yeah, well, he's pushed into Nosy and is also moving troops out west.
He gets that village there. I'm curious what Bossman does here.
I have to see.
This is one of the...
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is one of those moments where you have to decide, do you want to start hitting the giant or not? But Bossman does have vision, and he knows that there is a second giant coming back there. So, this is one of those, do I let him take it and then maybe pivot and focus on water domination?
Or... No, it looks like he's pushing out west. Units are moving west.
They are.
It looks like he's trying to pick up all the villages out west a little bit. I don't think he's going to go for to defend Nosy. I don't think so. I mean, he does have a troop advantage, but he's not going to know everything about that. Like you say, he can see that there is another giant coming, so perhaps he's looking to bide his time. I mean, he does have a higher amount of income, higher amount of potential income, so playing the long game does suit him a little bit better. It feels to me like Mythic is the one that needs to push the pace here.
Yeah, it is 7-3 cities here. So this... from a mathematical perspective, Bossman is in the winning position here, simply because of his cities. It's going to scale almost exponentially here at this stage. And he did get the catapults. But he does have a great defense here. So what's going to happen now is he's going to bump that giant. He gets a second giant here. He has more ruins. This really is looking more and more into Bossman's favor. But again, it's always... The thing about Polytopia is a mistake can change the whole game. That's what's so cool about this.
We've seen that in the grand finals. I mean, we were expecting certain players to go all the way, but one mistake was all it takes. And frankly, at that point, like you say, you're scrambling to make up for it, and also you go into the next game thinking, oh man, I've made a massive mistake, particularly when it's streamed, when the pressure's on, and it can have that sort of cascading effect. Sometimes it is better just to sort of accept the mistake and move on.
Absolutely. And the cool thing about this is this is best out of 3 as well. So what's interesting here is that a player who is maybe not familiar with the other player might get a read on the opponent. Like, how do they play? Are they typically more aggressive? Are they more conservative in terms of their expansion and their aggression? How do they play? This is very useful information for a skilled player who can then use that to going into the second game should that individual lose. But there is a lot of action going on here. He's sieging here.
He's going for it, looks like.
Yeah.
See, Ryder's going out west. I mean, again, I don't exactly have as much of a refined eye as you, but this is not what I was expecting. I was expecting a little bit of a slower pace here, but it does look like Bossman's looking to put it to bed a little bit here.
Yeah.
I like this.
Yeah, this is one of those games where It is going to be very hard for Mythic to come back from this. This is the point where you can see the benefit of having a lot of cities. Because when you have fewer cities, that's, again, your...
I mean, look at the income gap. It's 28 to 17 at the moment, and those units are double the size. So unless a mistake happens, it is Bossman's to lose. Lose it, he might. Lose it, I don't think he will. We're gonna have to see.
Yeah, this is this is
well, Mythic's gonna have to force a mistake. That's what's gonna happen. He's got to try and do something. He can't sit and be whittled down. You need to sort of make a move. Again, remember it is best out of 3, so this doesn't automatically discount Mythic. We might be able to see a reverse sweep coming up, but again, has to push the pace a little bit. I mean, Bossman is taking a long time with his turns. That's what I will say. Very measured, I would say. Is that sort of correct with what you've seen of Bossman in the past?
Well, the thing about the more experience you have, you know, the better plays that you can make, but you also feel more confident and calm around the timer, because you know that, okay, if I have X amount of minutes, you know, now he has 2 minutes. And the thing about Might, this game mode, is that the more villages you control, the more time you have.
Right.
The Bossman actually has more seconds now than Mythic when the timer resets, which actually gives Bossman more time to think. And of course, let's not forget about the time that it takes to... You can use the time to think. And I'm curious here. He got a rune, but I didn't see what he got. Was that Did you see that?
I wish I could tell you.
Maybe like stars or a tech.
Here's what we'll do. Let's gamble and say it was one or the other, and then if we're wrong, we'll just claim it was Doctor.
Yeah.
It's gonna make us look bad. Looks like Ryder's going out on the eastern front here.
Yeah.
Pushing forward. Ooh, doesn't go for the village immediately. Goes instead to counter the warrior coming up. Again, I think just trying to deny the village more than take it. Take it himself. That's a big old giant fight in the middle, though.
He went for the roads. Go back.
Yeah, do you want to explain what the roads are and how they can work?
Yeah, so essentially what roads do is they will give you a longer range of movement. Very simply, if you are on one tile and you can typically only move with most units one tile from one to the next. However, if you have a roads, you can move two tiles. Now there are certain units like Bossman has a lot of riders on the map here. Now riders, they give you standard 2 tiles of movement. Now if you have roads, that is of course doubled. Right, so then you get all of a sudden you get 4 tiles of movement, which is huge, which is how he was able to hit that unit roads back to the village. But yeah, this is...
That was a term that I was hearing about a lot when I first got into Polytopia. I was sitting down with all the pros and they were like, oh, Riders Roads, Riders Roads. I had no idea what Rider Roads were. And frankly, I didn't want to ask because it made me feel a little bit silly. But it was explained to me eventually because everyone's really, really nice in the community and no one made me feel bad. But like I say, it just shows that there's a lot of different strategies that you can use. And, well, we see a catapult over here, but I think... Oh, there you go. Nice shot, son. We've also seen on the inverse side, Bossman has his own catapult. And I'll be honest, that over on the west there, that's a lot of it's a lot of stuff to try and contend with. Yeah, this is looking like a very hard decision for Mythic here. I mean, he is currently dealing with 1, 2. You know, we can see it down here, 7 plus the 2 he's about to capture up there against his Mythic's 4 cities. So that's 5 city lead. Mathematically, Mythic is in a losing position here. Yeah, I mean, he's kept up on income quite nicely. Yeah, but he is definitely, and he went for the markets here too. Do you explain what the markets do? The markets essentially give you more economy for each sawmill, windmill, or smith that you have. Now, a sawmill is essentially, you can see this on the map. Both players have utilized this game. It's for each forest, you can chop the forest. And whenever you chop the forest, if there is a free tile next to your chopped forest, you can place a sawmill. And what the sawmill does is very simple. It gives you an additional population for your city
where the sawmill is placed. Now, when you place that sawmill, obviously I just mentioned the population that you get, but if you then place a market next to that sawmill, or if there is a farm on the map, or farming, we'll probably look more into that when we get to the bossy tribes and whatnot. But then you get an X amount of stars per level that the sawmill has. So if you look at Loco, the bossman's capital, he currently has 2. Yeah, he goes for trade here as well, where you can get the markets. He has 2 sawmills. Ooh. That is looking juicy right there. Yeah,
that's 9 cities, huh?
Yeah, we're up to 9 cities here.
Really took the whole, if you have more cities, you control the mid game very seriously.
Yes.
Now, I'll ask this. Do you think there was an opportunity for Bossman to sort of rush down and try and take the cities earlier? Or do you think that this is a much sort of smarter play, slowly build up over time, extend that city gap, and push in at his leisure?
Well, the thing about Polytopia is you're playing with Fog of War, right? Which is why these explorers are so important to get. Because explorers give you prediction power. You can essentially now know that, okay, this player is moving in this direction, which gives me more time to do this or that, right? So it gives you more options. Whereas Mythic, for example, early on in the game, he didn't have a lot of vision, which makes it hard to predict where is my opponent, where is he, where is, So I think that Bossman played this very well. He did move aggressively into the center of the map. Then he went to the sides. But again, he could do that because he had the vision, right? And he knew that Mythic, he wasn't near those villages. He had time.
So do you think there's something, what would you have done differently if you were Mythic facing this?
Well, I think going back to the first turn, when you start in your capital, the first thing I would have done is obviously have gone towards the center. Center of the map is very strong play. I mean, there are moments where that is maybe not the best, and when that is not the best is typically when you see that there is a lot of opportunity for population growth. So forests, these little bananas, fruits that you see on the map there next to his city, Cookie. These are predictions that there is a village there, actually. So the more fruits or villages or forests, stronger prediction of villages. So, but I would have definitely moved differently. I would have moved north. And then, of course, we can't deny the fact that Mythic's spawn, it wasn't the most advantageous, right? If we compare it to Bossman. He is restricted to water. Like, look at these, all 4 cities, none of them are directly connected to the water here.
Having said that, have we seen much of the water being used by Bossman?
Surprisingly little. He is setting up for it, looking like it now. You can see he's got a couple of units on the water, but he's used surprisingly little, right? And I mean, when you think of a game like this, the question is always.
Sorry, yeah, I'm just seeing a lot of sounds here. We see buildings. That's a lot of income now. I mean,
yes, no,
comparatively.
For newer players, the income is almost very often decisive in terms of who's winning. Now he has 57 stars compared to it's almost double stars to Mythic. Now, very simply, what does that mean? It means that from here on, Bossman, he's going to scale exponentially.
Like you're saying, Mythic does need to poke a little bit harder here. I mean, he has maintained control over Nocium. It looks like Bossman has withdrawn almost entirely from there, focusing instead on developing and taking that cluster in the west, maintaining a presence in the east. And it looks to me, I mean, there's a couple of catapults there. It looks to me like maybe Mythic would be looking to push up the center themselves here. I mean, like you're saying, they do need a port. They do need that. I mean, it doesn't look like they're challenging the east at all.
Goes for border growth here as well. It's interesting what you just said there, though. Like, one of the things that Bossman is doing here, if we analyze his play, he's not going that aggressive, and he knows he doesn't have to either, right? Because he is literally controlling the. He's got him cornered in at this stage, so he can literally just play safe, build economy, build up his units and troops, and using his catapults, hold off Mythic from doing any sort of huge push, huge attack. So Bossman is really just going to scale and try and bleed out Mythic while he's building until there's nothing he can do.
We can talk about what we were talking a bit before the stream, which is you get the most aggressive player in Polytopia, you chuck them on a stream, you chuck them in front of a camera, you put them in a higher stake situation, and everyone naturally starts to play a little bit more defensive. So I wonder if that's sort of going into this a little bit. But please, take me through the chivalry.
Yeah, so chivalry here, and I'm very, very excited to actually talk about the previous one as well. But chivalry is a unit that gives you a chain. So you can first of all, huge range. It can move a long distance. It can cover a lot of ground. 3 tiles actually.
So you're talking about the unit, the knight.
Yeah, the knight.
Yes.
So if we look at his capital, you see that he has the knight there, and this has tremendous range. That's the first. The second is that it can chain. So if it kills a unit, it can kill another. And so forth until it can't kill anymore. So it's a really good unit to clean up. And there he goes with the markets. But it's a great unit to clean up opponents if they have a lot of squishy units around. And that combination, the knights, is also really good with, if you have a couple of bombers, to weaken stronger units, your knights can push through. What do you think he's going to do here, if you look at Mythic?
I think Mythic's going to start to push. Now, I think he's going to go east. That's my bet. That's what I'm gambling on. I think he's seen the lightly defended east. I think he knows that he has a deficit to make up in terms of cities. And I think he's going to go for that eastern line. He can obviously see, like you're saying, the vision's quite important. He's stationed a giant west to try and protect that, backed up by a catapult. Might be pushing on that front, but I'm seeing a lot of forces in the water east. I think that's where we're going to be seeing some action. Now, I'm going to look like an idiot if he's if I'm wrong here, so I appreciate you throwing that question my way.
Yeah, this is
oh, hang on, there's the knight. There's the knight.
Look at that, guys. That's it. That's huge. Oh, wow. So this right here, guys, this is the danger of knights, and Mythic didn't have vision.
He couldn't
Mythic
see.
Did not have vision. He did not know that knight was going to come.
Reportedly did not know the knight was coming to ruin his day.
And this is one of those moments in Polytopia when you get knighted, it's like, oh man, I just it's a huge loss because you lose a lot of units.
The morale.
The morale just drops. So I'm very curious how Mythic is going to take this.
Poorly, I'd imagine. I wouldn't take it very well.
No.
I'm also a terrible little raging. I'd have smashed my keyboard by now. But he's presumably a better person and player than I am. So we'll have to see here.
I wouldn't initially just say he's a better person, but better player, yeah.
No, I do. I know myself. Yeah. I know well enough. You're being too kind. Look, we're going to be casting a lot over the next couple of weeks together. You'll quickly find out. And back to Polytopia. I don't think there's... Well, I mean, we'll have to see, right? We'll have to see what Mythic does here. But like we've been saying for a while, we're going to have to see Mythic force a mistake. And it doesn't look like Bossman is leaving any openings. Now having troops out on the east, not going to be vulnerable to something a little bit sneaky there. There goes the knight. Another little poke there.
And also take a look at the time now. Bossman has 3 minutes, He also set up another knight. And again, that timer scales with your villages, right? So the more villages you have, the longer time you have, the more time you have to make decisions.
Now, we're going back to me being a bad person. If I was Bossman, I'd also be winding down that clock as much as possible, really trying to get in my opponent's head. Play a little bit of mind games, because the longer that Mythic has to stare at what's going on, the longer I think personally he has to get inside his own head and try to think about something, try to force something. Especially when in such a dominant position as Bossman is currently, you can afford to sort of attempt to get in your opponent's head a little bit here.
Absolutely, it's a lot of psychology as well in Polytopia, right?
Yeah.
So you could do multiple things. The first is you can play incredibly fast to try and reduce the amount of time your opponent has to think. The other is, of course, you can try and spread it out and take your time and make your opponent be like, I'm lost, just lose all hope.
That was the interesting thing about Arthur versus Slimming Boy, which was the final of the 2025 championships, is that Slimming Boy would often be, he would sometimes play really, really fast, and Arthur, tremendous player, would play extremely fast, and Slimming Boy would occasionally run out of time, and we saw him with some outside strategies. But like you say, there is merit to forcing your opponent to constantly be on the back foot, constantly have the turn thrown back to them. But now we start to see a little bit of movement in the center, redirecting everything west and north, in and out with that horse. We'll have to see.
Yes. This is if Bossman gets at center village there, and I don't think he has a lot of defense here. He's got, well, he did just get the catapult, but is it going to be enough? So the question now is, can Mythic defend against a siege from a full HP giant, right? If he decides to go in.
I think is the answer. No, I don't think he can either. Especially when we're starting to see, giants in the east. Lots of riders in the west, a couple of knights there as well. I mean, this is overwhelming force as you're ever going to see it. More knights being churned out, and that income gap is not getting any smaller. At this point, I think Bossman now is, I don't want to sound insensitive, but toying with him a little bit. Yeah. Now finally going into the central town, but at will, I think we'll see what Bossman can do. But it is in those moments that Mythic might be able to snipe a city, might be able to get a couple of units in. Nope, there we go. And there it is. Yeah, I think that was probably the story of the tape for a while. But there we have it, the very first game on the stream, and Bossman takes it 1-0. Remember that this is a best of 3. So we'll take it back to the studio now, and we'll have a little bit of chat as to what we saw. Well, it was a story of one half, I think, the entire time. It didn't really ever look like Bossman was going to let go of that initial lead. What do you think?
Not at all. I think from the position that Bossman was in, again, he had the upper hand, especially with the villages. Like when you capture more villages, you're just in a much better position. It's not always the case, but most of the time, I would say 8 out of 10, the person who controls more villages is typically in a better position and more likely to win the game. So Bossman knew that. He knew he had the advantage. He had complete vision of the map, and he knew just, if I just keep stalling and building, I'm going to bleed him out. I'm going to, he can't do nothing.
Yeah. Which is what we saw. I'll ask a slightly harder question then. Do you think Bossman made any mistakes?
It's a good question. Did he make any mistakes? So
he can't answer you right now, so you can just say whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
The hard thing, was to obviously look at not just the gameplay, but it was also to look at, when I was explaining, I was more focused on that but what mistakes did he make? I think he could have maybe pushed a little bit harder on Mythic, but I'm not sure if he had to, right? So is it a mistake, right? That's the thing. He was in such a good position to simply just build his economy. He knew that, again.
He could have won harder, is what you're trying to say. His only mistake is he didn't win quicker.
He could have just, gone in there
gone straight for him.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have to see what happens in the second one. Obviously, new map, the same players. It is a best of 3, so Mythic can turn it around. But like we were saying, this is Mythic's first game of the day. And for your first game of the day to be a loss is kind of tricky. Obviously, Bossman, having come from a victory, he's going to be feeling himself a little bit. And now another victory in the semi-final. Frankly, he's 1 win away from getting into the final. He's 3 wins away from getting into the sort of the next section of the tournament. So he has to be feeling good about that. And I think I just want to say we've received word Liberator, who was in the grand finals last time, someone that I met personally, is gone.
Oh.
He has been eliminated in the quarterfinals, which to me just shows how competitive the scene is. Someone who was, at that point, you can just say, essentially one of the best players in the world. He was with 7 other players who are part of that cohort, and he's out in the quarterfinals. He's not going to be making it.
He finished 5th in Cincy last year. So the thing about the tribes is, we're, again, like I mentioned, leading into this, we're not necessarily looking at finding the best overall player. Mm-hmm. We're looking at finding the best player for one specific tribe. But yeah, we're going into second game.
So you timed that perfectly. That was fantastic. That you finished your sentence as it came in. That was great. I'm very impressed. Well, speaking of finding the best person for the tribe, let's see who's the best of this best of 3 as we get started. Walk me through it.
So Mythic didn't go for a tier 0 upgrade. He went for a second warrior here, which is the other variation of play that you can make here. Whereas Bossman, he went for the tier 0 upgrade. So he's going to go for his second warrior now.
Let's see.
But looking at the map here, they're both starting in the north.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a little bit... I mean, neither one of them is going to know where the other one is at this point. They're going to probably assume they're somewhere on the other side. So it's going to be quite a surprising moment for them when they figure out that actually might be a little bit closer to home. 2 villages close by within vision for Mythic, and only 1 for Bossman now. We'll have to sort of see.
So this is, looking at this from an early game perspective, this is looking like Mythic is in a better position here. Bossman found a village right next to the ocean, or the lake, which is good. But we see that Mythic is getting control of that center village. Bossman is going to find him any second now. Oh. And this is going to be exciting.
Well, 2 techs.
Yeah, he got 2 techs here. He saved his income to get forestry and hunting here. What is Mythic? It
feels to me like Mythic is pushing more to the center, like you're saying that they potentially should have done last game. They have pushed. I mean, you're not getting more central than that. So we'll see.
And mind you, the pressure is on Mythic here. He needs to win this game if he wants to have a shot at advancing. Right?
Oh, Explorer, let's see. And he finds him. Hello.
Finds him here.
Finds a village as well, and another one. Oh. I mean, with that, he should have enough information to sort of gather where his opponent is, really. I'll have to see. Oh, this is going to be a cagey one.
Yeah. So this might end up in a very, a lot of fighting early game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've got 2 villages split between them right in the middle there. Obviously, we've got Mythic taking Lalo very early, but Bossman looking poised to try and take the other village. I think there's going to be a lot of early game fighting here.
It's looking like Mythic is, because he has both have access to the lake now, right, from his capital, and also Bossman with his second village.
But Mythic doesn't know where Bossman is right now. You haven't seen him
Not yet. No. Yeah.
So that's one little advantage. We'll see. You can't see that other village. Just doesn't know it's there.
Explorer here.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
There we go. So that is huge for Mythic, and mind you, this is interesting as well for newer players. When you explore or find your opponent, let's say you find your opponent when he has 1,000 stars versus 2,000 stars, the more points your opponent has, the more stars that you get. So he found, Mythic just found Bossman later on. He just got a little bit more stars than Bossman did when he found Mythic.
Right, okay. Better to meet your opponent later when it comes to pure stars, but strategically, bit of a toss-up.
Sometimes, yeah.
You were talking about the monuments in the corner of the map, and it didn't look like the Explorer did not quite get there for the Mythic, so that's a little bit unfortunate.
Both Mythic and Bossman, I don't think they've found a single lighthouse, either of them. Does find that ruin though, and he went for the ruin. This is interesting. Bossman went for the ruin as opposed to the village.
Okay. Do you want to explain the difference between like what a ruin contains?
So, for example, a ruin can contain a lot of different things, right? It can be a swordman, it can be capital, it could be population growth, which is essentially population for your capital, giving you more op to level up your city. Give you stars or tech.
What do you think he's going to get? Quick gamble.
Stars.
Oh! He knows.
He got stars.
He's clued into the game. Yeah. That's just how good Poly strategist is.
Yes, that's wish that luck carried on in blackjack. I'm just kidding.
We'll play a game after this. We'll see. Okay, so now presumably he's going to try and turn back and get that village. I mean, we'll see. These other ones that are sort of the eastern and southern end of the map are not as easily accessible as the others. Yeah. So we'll see if they decide to charge those ones. You have to think that Mythic doesn't want to be in the same situation that he was before, and so might prioritize more. Yeah. Oh, a giant.
Gets the first giant. Yeah, gets the first giant here. That's big. It's going to allow him to push towards that little city that that Mythic has there. So the question now is, will he defend that?
Well, Mythic can see it, so we'll see if he decides to push anything. It looks like, to me at least, he's pulling back from that. I don't think he's going to try and defend it in any sort of way, shape, or form. Let's see if he actually starts to go for the other village. I mean, it's not all. He does.
That's very interesting.
And he has got troops there. He is defending it.
Yeah.
And putting up riders.
He's trying to create a... there might be a stalemate for that village.
Yeah.
Right, until a giant can go for it.
Yeah, do you want to explain how actually taking a city works?
Yeah. So when you place a unit onto a village, you still have to wait until the next turn to capture it, giving the opponent the option to kill the unit that is standing on the village and denying you from taking that village. Which is why very often when you see a village like that, it's contested. Mythic has had plenty of opportunities to step on it, but he knows that Bossman has those units and can simply pop him off if he wants to. So he wants to make sure that, Bossman doesn't get it. And I think Bossman wants to do the same by keeping his units in the back. Look, no one goes in that village. They're just setting up defense for whoever goes on it first.
So what's wrong with putting your unit on the village first then, in your mind?
Well, what would happen is obviously the unit is going to get killed, right? And that's the first thing. The second thing is you force a fight.
Ooh.
And
there we go. Picks
great explorer here.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Oh, finds another village. And another. Yeah. And another.
Yeah, there we go. If he can move fast to those southern cities, Mythic is going to be in a very good spot here. Mm-hmm. And this is very interesting because you want to expand while at the same time focus on defense and offense, right? It's a balance, Polytopia.
Can I ask a question here? What technology is it that allows units to go into the water? Because for an outsider, they might think, well, why don't they just put the units into the water and go and rush down to the west?
Yeah, great question. So Kickoo is a water tribe. Like we mentioned, for those who are new as well and probably came in here, you start with the technology called fishing. Fishing allows you to collect fish that are near your village, which means that you can collect those fish to upgrade your city. But then to get on the ocean or the water, you have to place a port, which you also gain from the fishing technology. So with that, you can, after placing the port, that's when you can access the ocean or the water or the lake, right?
So we'll see if they decide to chuck one down.
Yeah.
Down there. Oh, well, there we go.
Here, there are the ports.
Are we sure there's a 10-minute delay? They listen to us directly. They are not, to be clear. Okay. I can't wait, because that's going to panic production. Quick, tell them! Quick, tell them there's a 10-minute delay.
Guys. So, 2 ports. I think Mythic made a good play here. Well,
a little movement. I think there's going to be a little bit of combat out west.
The reason why...
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he attacked. He moves back.
A little in and out. I think that giant's definitely going to Lolo.
Yeah, it's gonna siege. It's gonna siege.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna contest that. He's probably instead. Yeah, it looks instead like he's going for the other one. Yeah, he's going for the ones down south. He can play the long game. Now the concern, obviously, how threatening is that giant to the rest of the territories?
Well, the giant is Mythic doesn't really have the ability to defend against that giant at this current point, which is why a giant is so decisive early game. If you can send a giant towards a city early game, you will most of the time gain access because the stars required to defend against a giant is massive. I mean, think about it. I think you need at least, 9 units just to hit it.
Well, I mean, you were saying about not having the means to defend himself, and here we have another giant on the capital for Mythic. In fact, that leads me into a question for some people. Firstly, siege is being undertaken. How does combat? You were saying like he doesn't have the means to defend against the giant. He's going to take a couple of hits. What does combat actually look like?
Well, combat in Polytopia is pretty straightforward. You move a unit next to another, and you hit it. You either deal damage to it or you kill it. Now, there are certain units that can attack from a range, such as catapults, like we saw earlier during the first game. You have bombers, which is essentially a special naval unit that cost 15 stars. So it's a very expensive unit. But once placed, it acts very similar to a catapult. And you can bomb other units. And what happens when you bomb one specific unit, it will deal splash damage to the other units. And that's why a bomber also pairs so great with the knights that we also saw in the last game.
Bit of splash damage, send in the knight to clean up.
Yes. So, for example, if a unit does 10 damage to the giant, it's going to deal another 4 to 5 damage to the surrounding units. That's what splash damage is.
And here we can see that when, that rider jumped in, hit that warrior, there he's killed it, so there's no retaliatory damage. But when he doesn't kill it, there is damage coming straight back at them.
Mm-hmm. And that's the benefit with the riders, right? Mm-hmm. It's you can hit a rider, hit a unit with a rider, and then you can easily bounce back, putting it back into safety, not having to sacrifice that, because like anything, units cost stars. You can preserve those stars and make them live for longer, you're in a good position. And
did they heal when you go back into your territory?
No, you have to manually heal. So if you want to heal your unit, and this is a cool part, you can do two things. You can either preserve that one unit, heal it, not go into combat for one turn, or you can try and use that one unit to gain kills. And when you get 3 kills, you get something called a veteran. So you could be at 2 HP, 2 life as a rider, and then get a kill, and then instantly you can upgrade that one unit, if it gets 3 kills, to something called a veteran, healing it back up to 15 life. And that is a very interesting thing. Like, let's look at this rider.
Ooh.
Boom, he just got a kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say there's a second giant on the board as Lolo is taken, one in the capital. It looks to me like there's a fleet for Mythic trying to go for those cities, and it's going to be a case of how much can Bossman take before Mythic starts to overtake with the difference in cities if he does that. Right now, obviously, the advantage is for Bossman, but this is going to be, in my opinion, a bit of a clash of styles here. I think Mythic's going to try and go for the cities. Bossman's going to try and force the action through the center. Seen a lot of riders, does have the advantage of an extra giant. And here we are. We predicted a contested area on this village. He's going to take it. There we go.
Yeah.
Does he leave? Does he stay?
I think he's going to send it back and then let his giant clean up next turn.
He's thinking about it. I think he's staying. Nah, he's back. Yeah. He leaves. Cowardly. Cowards. We'll see. I mean, if you're Bossman, do you start to push towards your opponent's capital? Do you just try and rush that down, considering that you're not contesting the other villages?
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, if Bossman is smart here, because he does have a giant there in the middle, defending Mythic, that is. If he is smart here, he pushes a little bit in the center, because you could do two things here. You could either just try and create a stalemate for that one village, but before I continue, I just want to comment this play. Bridge. This is an amazing play here. So he just placed a bridge to knock that unit off. Look at that.
Very nice.
And he might even go south.
We were wondering how he's going to cross the water. Bridges. That's how.
Yeah.
There you go. And knocks that warrior off of his post. And will look to potentially take it himself. I mean, we were thinking that maybe Mythic was going to have the advantage in terms of cities long term, but I don't know.
Bossman he goes for the... Yeah, he goes for the double. I don't think he's gonna... Well, is he calculating whether he can hold? This is interesting. I think what's going through his mind here is, can I siege that village? Yes or no? So, yeah, he did the math, and he realized that his opponent can't access that unless he goes for ramming here. He can't kill it. Now, ramming is a special water unit that allows you to kill riders. If he goes for sailing, it's not going to deal enough damage.
Oh. There's the sailing. Oh!
So kills that unit, but the village is still free. So he's not going to be able to knock him off that village.
No, it doesn't look so. Now, chaps, if you think that you could do better than these players, perhaps you want to participate in the qualifiers yourself, make sure to join the Polytopia Discord, as we just saw popping up. Again, I need to remind you that these qualifiers are going to be going on in the next couple of weeks, and if you're watching at home thinking, what? Obviously, he should have done this thing. Oh, why didn't he move that unit? I would have done something completely differently. Then it's your chance to prove it. We could be talking about you in the next stream. We could be talking about you live in the grand finals in Stockholm. And of course, if you prefer to be a viewer, make sure to grab your tickets yourself. As Darren can attest to, it was a fantastic event. He was a viewer, I was a host. We both had a fantastic time.
I can testify to that. That was a great event.
A little bit of combat there. Do you think he'll be able to hold that village that he's going to take in the center?
He might be able to hold it. He's getting a catapult lined up in the back there. He did send it north, though. Okay, that's interesting.
Have a look.
So both players are trying to advance towards the south there. You see that? There's a slow level of expansion there. Income-wise, Bossman is leading. 17 to 13. He's killed more units. Both of them should have the monument Gate of Power. Now, we briefly spoke about monuments in the previous game as well. You have the Eye of God, which is the monument that gives you... every single monument essentially gives you 3 population growth. But you can look at them as quests, right? The one quest is to get 100 stars. Another quest is to get 10 kills. Another quest is to connect 5 cities to your capital. And for each quest that you complete, you get another monument, which helps you get giants.
And as we've seen, giants are very pivotal for this.
Yes.
Mythic is standing on 2 different villages now. That will make up the difference. Let's see.
Goes for the explorer. He's gonna get the lighthouse.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Oh, he does. He does.
Yeah. He got the north one. All right.
That's gonna be the tricky one for him.
Question is, how does he get the last one? Does he have the...
With difficulty, I think, is the answer. Let's see. I'm be curious to see what he does with these 2 giants versus 1 in the center. What's he doing? I have to see here. Okay. He gets a couple of boats. More of them into the water. A little bit of combat. I think he's trying to push the pressure a little bit here. He knows he does have a disadvantage in the way of giants. Yeah. We'll have to see from there.
So this is, yeah, this is looking very interesting now. I mean, he's going to capture, Bossman is going to capture those 2 villages here, giving him an even more of a lead over Mythic here. So the question now is just how do you hold on. He went for roads. Is he going to try and siege his capital?
He's going for it, yeah.
Is that a siege? Oh,
he's going for it.
He's going to siege, yeah. He's going to siege that. Oh my, wow.
He's going straight for the capital. Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely.
Oh, wow. This is one of those plays where, you know, that is great. And he has his giant in the back there.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah. There
Chaps,
we go.
we have our... Oh, he's playing on.
Yeah,
he's carrying he doesn't
no,
care.
I'm gonna finish my...
I'll finish my turn.
He's showing off here.
But there we go. Bossman does go 2-0 in the semifinals, 1 step closer to being the Kickoo representative. Man, what a great play, rushing straight for the capital. I do like it when they do that. We'll see, I'm sure, more of that with later on tries. But your take on that? We have a finalist.
Yeah, we have a finalist. Bossman is an incredibly good player. I mean, I've seen him play before. He's incredibly good. I think he almost made it to the finals last year, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, we do know that he's an incredibly experienced player. As we mentioned earlier, he has experience with both perfection mode, domination, and it seemed like he found a gap there to siege his capital. And I think when it comes to Polytopia, a lot of it is also reducing and just trying to crush your opponent's morale.
That was a lot of vitriol in that sentence there, my friend. You really felt that one.
I mean, when you capture an enemy's capital like that, first of all, you get the minus stars, right? Mm-hmm. Second, it's a signal like, I found a gap, cracked through you, and I got access to your village, you know?